Manyavad presents CNBC TV18's Indian Business Icons, Leaders, Trailblazers, Radicals.
Welcome back to India Business Icons. Our next icon, Aditya Puri, has been the Managing Director of HDFC Bank since its inception in 1994. The bank was a brainchild of Deepak Parikh of HDFC Limited, but Parikh roped in Puri to head the venture, and under Puri's leadership, HDFC Bank has emerged as one of the largest private banks of the country, with a network of over 3,600 branches, more than 11,600 ATMs in 2,287 Indian towns and cities. Puri started the bank from scratch, and it is today a $48.7 billion company with non-performing assets at under 1%. So, how did Aditya Puri make all of this happen? Let's hear his story in his own words.
See, I actually grew up like any service officer's kid. My father was in the Air Force. What that involves in, you get transferred every 2 years, new schools, and actually totally disconnected with the world. So you are there, the other kids are there, everybody's parent is earning about the same. You get that half coke, you go and play in the club, you all get that hot dog at a cheap price, and then you go and play with the orderlies or yourself, football, cricket, and you're in the Air Force school, so you're in a world of your own. So you change friends in schools every 2 years, so you get to be adaptable. You have a very strong belief system. And money actually you don't understand till you get out and come into the real world. The parents sometimes want to live through their children. I found engineering too constraining, and that's the last thing I wanted to do. My grandfather actually did law from London. He was doing very well, was one of the senior lawyers in Chandigarh. Pre-partition, he was on the RBI board. And then somewhere along the line he said, this is not what I want to do. I want to understand Hindu religion, and you always have a relationship with your grandpa where you can talk a little more. Like I have with my grandson. Whenever he thinks his dad is being too strict, then he comes and talks to me. So he said, beta, you do what you like and do what you'll enjoy, but do it well. My mother has played a role in terms of a calming influence. She was religious to begin with. She did believe that you should be a good human being. And most importantly, she felt that if you put in your hard work, then God would take care of you. When you're an Air Force kid, everybody else had some pull when they wanted to get into a job. And she tells me, you've got the greatest pull in the world, why are you bothered? I was very happy. That day I slept very well. Next morning I said, Ma, who's the pull? We should call you. I told you, God. so that's a very different view of life. I joined M&M. I used to live as a paying guest in Churchgate, Queen's Court, and then I had to travel to office every day to Kandivali, which now seems to be a part of Bombay. That time it was the back of beyond on a local train, and then travel back. And I was beginning to feel this is not what I worked so hard for. Life cannot be this. And then I met my cousin who had just joined Citibank, and they said he would have a chamri on Malabar Hill, Linwood House. He would have a cook, he would have a butler, he would get one air conditioner, he would get a Persian carpet, they could have their parties, and they would have their training in Beirut and London. I figured this is the guy. So he said, except the two problems. One, Nanu is the fellow who has to interview you, and he is one hell of a stickler and very tough. So I gave the interview at 10, and 1 o'clock they called me up, you're hired.
After his initial training at Citibank Beirut, young Aditya Puri cut his teeth in Kolkata and Mumbai. Puri soon realized that his career would hit a ceiling in the operations department, and so he didn't hesitate to climb down to move up in life.
And when I looked at it, no person from operations actually had made country head. And I did think that at least I should take a shot at it, even if I didn't become country head. At least shot to hona chahiye, you can't bow out of it without entering the race. So when I talked again to Nanu, he says, my friend, you are way high up in operations, because out there we push you up because you're having sacrifices. You want to come into marketing, you'll have to take a 2-grade drop. I felt confident enough. I said, I'll make it up, because I'm an outgoing person who understands customers, relationship. So I took it, and I'm glad that happened.
He soon became India country head and subsequently moved out, working in UK Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong and Malaysia. It was in 1993 that Deepak Parikh offered him the job to head a startup bank in India. The then 40-something-year-old Puri was at the time heading Citibank Malaysia and was under consideration for a much bigger global role. Accepting Parikh's offer would have meant foregoing the good life and a fat share of stock options given to just 50 chosen star executives of Citi. The move back to his homeland would have brought him closer to his ailing father, and that sealed the deal for Aditya Puri.
It all sounded very romantic while I was sitting on my poolside in Malaysia, having a nice drink, and then I come here and the office consisted of me and myself, and said, now, why don't you go and set up the world-class bank? So the first day, actually, I must say, I went to my wife and I said, Smiley, you think I took the right decision because this all sounded great. But she said, look, you've taken the decision. I believe in you. I said, boy, you seem to believe more than, which she traditionally has, more than I believe in myself. And then I came back after talking to her and I said, let's go about it systematically and stick to the original vision, which is our target market. What products do we need? How can we provide it better than the competitors? What do we need to do that? The people, the technology, the culture. We were very clear that we were never going to put a bribe. We haven't never paid a bribe. We set up at this Kamala Mills here, and at night the rats ate away our computer wires. We set up somewhere else, and we were all ready to demonstrate to some senior functionaries at the opening of accounts, and our line went down. We took somebody to show a rural thing, and we didn't have enough issues.
Puri has always led HDFC Bank from the front, orchestrating mergers with Times Bank in 2002 and Centurion Bank of Punjab in 2008, which helped HDFC Bank scale up considerably. But the bank also got into some misadventures, like the tie-up with National Westminster, which brought no value and eventually saw NatWest exiting with huge profits. But Puri, an agile businessman, believes that such errors are inconsequential when seen through the prism of what the bank has been able to achieve.
Our successes are large, our errors are small. Not because we are brilliant, but we never bet the bank. So for instance, when we started our semi-urban and rural trust, we started with small pilot projects. Then we increased the size of the pilot projects so that we understood. We have so many pilots that have failed, but the hit for that failure is peanuts. But when we are clear about our pilot being successful and we scale it up, the benefit from that success is very large. So have we had lots of mistakes? Yes. But have they been small? Yes. And learning from those mistakes, have we made a big success? See, when you look at it, we had to figure out the balance between risk that we were taking, because we had capital, we didn't want to lose it. So initially we said we would go to AAA corporates. That was a tough decision because these corporates are normally overbanked. But the risk of default was very low. So we first went in with the toughest market because we knew we would come in with a product range that was better than what was available in the market, and we had the lowest risk. So then we moved from corporate, we moved from the AAA corporates to the AA, to the single A, to the small businesses, then to micro, and at the next step we moved to retail, and then finally we moved to the capital markets along with the risk dimension.
Puri's bet on technology is often cited as the reason for HDFC Bank's growth and success, but ironically, he himself is averse to the use of technology in his day-to-day life. He doesn't wear a watch, doesn't carry a mobile phone, and doesn't use email either. A hands-on boss, he's also known for his exceptional work-life balance. Since his Citibank days, Puri says he's always been in office by 9 a.m. and has exited at 5:30 p.m.
There was a chief executive of Coca-Cola who said a few things that I realized only after the first 5, 7, 8 years of my professional life. He says, in your life, you have a number of balls in the air, maybe 5, 6, family, friends, hobbies, job, right? And most of us end up treating job as the most important thing. But out of all these, the job is the only rubber ball. For Christ's sake, you don't like it, chuck it. It's not going to make a big difference. But you ruin your family life. You upset your wife, you've had it. Your kids, if you don't give them time when they want it, and then when you're old and you don't have a relationship with them, you got a big problem. If your friends don't think you're a kosher guy, you're not going to have much friends left. So I think this balance is very important. Without wife, there's no life here. See, now I've got her for life. Huh? You agree? Now she's going to say this is a good husband. No, but that apart, I think she's been a pillar of strength. She's been somebody that I go back to whenever I'm troubled. She's run a lovely home. The kids love her. I love her. I never have regrets. What's done is done. There's no point if I tell my children and I don't have the same philosophy. What's done is done. Do your job well. Be fair to people. Work hard. And leave the rest to God, and you should be fine.
Aditya Puri clearly knows the art of remaining at the top of the game whilst prioritizing his out-of-office life. On that note, it is time for us to wrap up this episode of the India Business Icons. Till next week, from all of us here on the team, goodbye and many thanks for watching.
Manyavar presents CNBC TV18's Indian Business Icons, leaders, trailblazers, radicals.